Hey, welcome everyone to Division 4 Live. My name is Chuck Jackson. I'm the Division Commander for 4th Young Marines. With me tonight, sharing the screen, I have Kaylyn Longren. She is the Database Manager for Headquarters Young Marines. Welcome to the show, Kaylyn.
Pleasure to be here, Chuck.
We got some cool stuff tonight, but before I get into that, I just got a couple of questions for you. How's it feel being a Young Marine alum and working at Headquarters?
It is a complete honor, Chuck. This is the single most influential program that has made an impact on my life, and to be able to give back to it every single day whenever I come to work is a complete honor.
Awesome. That is cool. So speaking of impact, what's the biggest impact working at Headquarters that you had no clue as a young Marine? What stands out in your mind?
So I feel like whenever I was a young Marine, I didn't appreciate my registered adults as much as I should have.
Right.
They are the nuts and bolts of the program. They are the ones out there that are making a difference. And it is so important for the young Marines to realize that the registered adults are the ones that keep it going. And they're constantly making an impact on these young Marines' lives.
Awesome. No, that's so true. I think our registered adults sometimes are the unsung heroes for sure. I'm so thankful for their lives. So one of the impacts that Headquarters makes is the database. And Kaylyn's going to show us some cool stuff on the database. If you got questions, I'll be looking at the comments, and as those comments come up, I'll relay those to Kaylyn. I'm going to leave you guys here for a second, and I'm going to bring up the screen. And Kaylyn in the screen.
Awesome. Okay, so the whole reason for this live was to talk about proper DDR entries. So you see the home page of the database. We're going to use Chester's unit, which is a test part of our database. And whenever you do a DDR entry, you want to make sure that first you have very specific details that you're going to put into this entry. These are entries that are going to be utilized by your young Marines later on in their lives, whether they're applying for jobs, scholarships, cool internships. We want to make sure that we're giving them as much data as possible. So you first go to record maintenance, then you will go to data entry. You're going to select your data type. For all the adjutants out there, this is a very fond screen of ours. And you're going to go to add new drug demand reduction record. So you're able to change the date. So let's say you did something on Wednesday, but you weren't able to put it on until Thursday. You can change the date on it. You want to make sure that that's a very accurate date for your young Marines. Whether that was a class, a guest speaker, presentation, project alert, or report. Because young Marines can also put in DDR hours through a report. They could do a report on a specific drug, a specific fad, and they can get their DDR hours that way. So let's say that we had a class and it was a 1 hour class. The authority is the person that was observing, and that was smooth operator for this data entry. And this is the notes section. This is the section that we said we want to give as much information as possible. So let's say that it was a class on let's say alcohol. Underage alcohol. And we should also say who taught the class. Taught by. And we're going to say smooth operator. So now we have the quantitative amount of hours. We have what the class was on. and who taught the class. Any other necessary information that you feel like you need to put in there, definitely put that information in there. Then you'll click the Young Marine. It'll automatically populate the hours. As a lot of people know, if that Young Marine wasn't there for the full time, you don't have to give them full credit. So let's say that Night Billy was only there for a half an hour. We can change that to make sure that it's more accurate. After you're done, make sure that you proofread what you put in there, and then you'll hit save. And it says invalid entry. Oh, okay. So I had to put, so let's say that Young Marine did the full hour, because it doesn't put in the 0.5. Okay, so then your data entry is put in there. This is going to ring true for a lot of the other data entries that we have. If you decide to put in community service, training subjects, anything like that, you can utilize the data entry for that. So that's for DDR entries. I know there might be some questions about Red Ribbon Week entries. Whenever I put in the entry, I didn't click or talk about Red Ribbon Week, but Red Ribbon Week is done through the after action report. And in the after action report, you are able to put all of those hours in, and it'll auto populate for you for those DDR hours, for those Young Marines that participate in those events. So you want to make sure that you get your after action report done. I can show you through another part of the database. Because it is not available right now, I will go through the database. So we have, this is what Red Ribbon Week looked like. And your after action report was here. If you did a DDR dash, you would edit all of that information, and you would say what unit participants or what other participants were doing. And I see I have a comment from Keegan Miller, and it says manning the booth would count as DDR hours. What category would that fall under? Okay, going back to data entry. So if you go to data entry, we have various types of data entry. And I'm pretty sure there's not a specific place for that, but we can also change something like that. And that's an easy fix. So drug demand reduction, class, presentation. So you were talking about a booth in the booth would count for DDR, and it would. What category would it fall under? I feel like right now that could possibly be presentation, because you might be presenting about drugs at the mall or at a certain function. But we can put another kind of instruction type in there if you feel like that is a possibility. Okay, so we were talking about Red Ribbon Week. If you go back to Red Ribbon Week, adding an activity is really easy. You add an activity, and let's say that you want to plan all of your DDR activities. And this is a really good tool for you to use, because you can, everything above the line. So it says the items are below the line. Everything above the red words, so the red words, if you put that information in there, it will save your entry. So you will know all of the Red Ribbon Week activities that you're going to, so that you have everything set out and organized. So you can use it as an organizational tool, and then just do your after action afterwards. So that's pretty much all I got for DDR. So I will, yes, Booth would be great too. Yes, and definitely send me an email if that's something that you would like to change in the database, and we can talk about it. The database is pretty much made for you. So if you feel like there are some really good ideas that you have, we really like taking those ideas and morphing them into the really cool things that we have in the database. So if you feel like something could be easier or something could be changed, we can definitely do that for you. Outreach category. I really like that, Candy. Outreach category. So make sure that you send me an email. You can send me an email at ymdbs@youngmarines.com, and I'll filter through all those emails afterwards. That's if you have any of the questions, any other questions after the live that we didn't get to, definitely send me an email. I want to make sure that we stay up on a lot of that stuff. So I guess now we can open it up for questions if you would like. So, and anything about the database we can definitely talk about. Anything that you were having problems with specifically, we can talk about that right now.
Hey, Kaylyn, I was wondering, how about on the reminders? You know, sometimes they tried to award it before it was run, and they run into some problems on the reminders. Can you kind of show them, go over that a little bit?
Definitely. Okay. So one of the most asked questions in the database that I've gotten since coming on board on staff is about PFT reminders. So I'll get a question, and it happens all the time where it's I did a PFT, I entered it, and in my reminders remind you that you have to do an additional step. So the additional step is awarding the ribbon. You award the ribbon, but then the reminder doesn't clear, and you're like, wow, why did that happen? Can you clear my reminder? Well, the reason why that reminder isn't clearing is because the PFT is predating the award date. So you want to make sure that you look at all of your dates, that the PFT date is before the award date, is before the issue date. So it could be all the same day, but you need to make sure that it makes logical sense, because what the database is saying is that that's impossible, that you can't run a PFT after you can't get awarded a PFT ribbon before you ran a PFT. It's just impossible. So your reminders are up in the corner. I'm not going to click on those because I'm on the headquarters site, but your reminders are up in the corner, and you can see those reminders, and that's going to help you do a lot of your data entry. Thank you, Christine. I know it's one of the biggest questions that I get, so I want to make sure that people know that it is common, and I probably would have messed it up too. So
Let's see. Oh, you guys got, let me get Kaylyn on here so there's not too much. There we go. Well, looks like wow, we've cleared 10 minutes, but it's been great having you on, Kaylyn. Is there anything else you want to cover, or do you want to shoot for another Kaylyn live maybe later on next month or something else like that?
yes, we can definitely do that. I'm open to going live at any time. I feel like database questions are one of the most asked questions. So being as available as possible to the division, as well as any registered adult that might be tuning in tonight, we want to hear your questions, and we want to help you guys out. But before we leave, I want to make sure that everybody thinks about some of the stuff that we have in the database, that if you have a question, sometimes we answer the question in the FAQ, and that's shown at the top main menu.
Let me bring the screen back up.
Yes.
And then get rid of me.
So at the top of the menu, you see the FAQ, and I'm going to click on it. These are the frequently asked questions. So you have a list of frequently asked questions about the database, and this is a very useful tool. because these are a lot of the questions that we get. So we house a lot of those questions here to kind of help you see different things. And even if you aren't asking a question, it might be really good to go in here and just look at some of the questions that people have, just to freshen up on certain things, or you might learn something to make something easier. So that's always available.
Awesome. Wow, we're doing good tonight. I really appreciate everybody's feedback into this, and we just want to make it another method of communication out to you. I know some of you may or may not be in 4th Division. You know what? I don't care. I'll take the thumbs up. I'll take the smiley faces. And if you're bold enough to ask a question, that just helps somebody else down the road. So, teamwork makes the dream work. So thanks again for being on tonight, Kaylyn. And I look forward to the next time you're on and just more interaction. So,
oh yeah, definitely. It was a pleasure. It was so much fun.
Have a great night. We'll see you later.
Thank you.